When I started Bianca B website, it was when I was like 15. I was 15 turning 16, or 16 turning 17. I was definitely in high school. I was known as the girl. Me and my friend, we would go around school at Harrison High School, and I would have my digital camera, and I would be recording people. And I had this website, and I was interviewing all these people from Twitter and like upcoming artists. And I've been doing this for over a decade, so it's weird for me to kind of say podcast because it's been youtube.com/Bianca B Show. Okay. And so, I went from that to a full-blown set. I had a full staff and a full production and things like that. And it was kind of uncomfortable. Somebody even DMs me and asks me, how has it been, going from a full-blown set to, through Zoom? And this show is an internal fulfillment for me. And who I interview is an underdog. What was my thing was interviewing the underdogs and interviewing people who you didn't see. But even from a booking standpoint, I have fought for guests for talk shows. Like, I am a fighter. When I really feel like somebody is a freaking star, as a booker, I'm like, nah. Like, I would argue with EPs. Like, I'm a very stern business person and very direct. And when I feel like somebody is it, I just know it. That's why I love booking and being a booking producer. It fulfills me because I love seeing somebody who is an underdog and getting them less than 5 years, they're booming. What's up, you guys? It's your girl Bianca B, and welcome to the Bianca B Show, where we talk about business, finances, and friendships. Make sure you guys check out all of my interviews on Spotify. We are going to be on Apple Music. It's BiancaB.com. Go to itsBiancaB.com, shop BiancaB.com, and you can listen to the podcast wherever you're listening to, and you can also watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/BiancaB Show. So we're gonna get into it. I got a piece of hair in my mouth, y'all. We're gonna get into it. I want to do like a recap of this week for me, and then we're gonna get into the previous episodes. And then we're gonna talk about, can people really change? So we about to dive right into it. I kind of like doing the one-on-ones, kind of like giving y'all a little recap, so it's not just interview. So it's kind of like y'all can really get to know me if you don't know me, and new subscribers and new people who are rocking with me. So yes, I do have on the top, and yes, the sun is coming out, so it's affecting the lighting, but it is okay. So this week was, honestly, I'm not even going to hold you guys, it was a really rough week for me. It was so many emotions. I'm a Scorpio, so I'm naturally an emotional person, but I had my emotions under control for the past 6 to 7 months. Like, my emotions, even me and my mom talk about this, like, I've gotten so good with my emotions. Like, as far as, like, I used to be a crier. Like, y'all, I used to be, since the womb, since I came out the womb, I was a crier. I gave my family a headache. But these past like couple of months, I've been so in tune with my emotions and just so like just handling life so well. But last week I did not handle life well, and this past week I did not handle life well. Like, I was mad emo, and a little bit has to do with being a woman and your little cycle. But I was like, child, I don't know if I can make it through this week. Like, it was just so much. Adulting is hard. There's no pamphlet to this shit. Like, there needs to be life classes in high school and in college, because it's just no freaking roadmap to this. You really gotta go day by day. Like, you really do. And kudos to the parents out there. Like, I'm not a parent, but yo, life be kicking me in the butt, like, sometimes. It really can. But I'm better, y'all. I'm glad I have a supportive family. I talk to my grandma, I talk to my mom. Like, I'm really close with my family. I'm very, like, family oriented. And over the years, as I've gotten older, like, I really cherish my parents, especially my grandparents, so much. Like, I talked to my granddad. Like, I called him, well, he called me last week and prayed over me. Like, I, like, love my grandparents now that I'm older. Like, really cherish your parents and your grandparents because you don't know how much longer they're going to be here. And I used to be that person, like, I moved away so young. Like, I was 17. Like, I moved away from home. I said, peace, I'm out. And I miss a lot of valuable moments in my family, from baby showers to my nieces. Like, I got like mad nieces that, and nephews that I have not seen. And, I do kind of, I hate using the word regret, but there's moments that, funerals and baby showers and weddings and those things that I miss chasing after my dreams. And I look back in my 20s and I'm like, yo, like, I am proud of myself for everything that I've done, but I do have a little bit of guilt of missing those moments. I've ruined a lot of friendships too, like deep-rooted past friendships, because I miss things. And, when you're chasing your dreams or chasing success or moved away from home, it is very hard to maintain those family relationships and friendships. So, this past year, I really value my family a lot more than what I did before. So if I could give advice to any of my people who are moving away to college this upcoming, school year and things like that, like, your career, have fun, do all of that, but also cherish your family, because those are moments you sometimes can't get back. I'm not saying stay at the crib and live under your parents. That's not what I'm saying. But do go home often. Try to talk to your family, FaceTime as much as possible. Because when you're doing this, it is a sacrifice. When you're chasing your dreams and you're chasing something that your family hasn't done before, it is a process, but also value your family, if I could give any advice. So, it was a rough week, like I mentioned. I'm going to talk about this interview with Keandra Jackson. It was exactly what I needed that day. That was a rough day for me, and I had a rough 2 days. Because I think we did that interview on like Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember the exact day, but we did that interview last week, or this past week. I think today is Saturday. What am I saying? Well, it'll be last week to y'all. But we did the interview, and right before that interview, I had a mental breakdown, you guys. Like, I was like boohoo crying right before that interview. But it was what I needed, and I want to talk about the journey of what this podcast really means to me. And I kind of hate the word podcast a little bit. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I fucking hate that word with a passion, because I've been doing my show since I was a kid, since I was a teenager. So it's really hard for me to say podcast, but this is this generation. But when I started Bianca B website, it was when I was like 15. I was 15 turning 16, or 16 turning 17. I was definitely in high school. I was known as the girl. Me and my friend, we would go around school at Harrison High School, and I would have my digital camera, and I would be recording people. I was big on photo booth and all that stuff, and I had this website, and I was interviewing all these people from Twitter and like upcoming artists. And one of the first interviews I did was with Leah Robinson. That was back in like 2010, 2011 or 12, one of those. It was definitely before I moved to LA. Yeah, so it was 2010, December of 2010. And I've been doing this for over a decade. So it's weird for me to kind of say podcast, because it's been youtube.com/Bianca B Show. Okay. And so, I went from that to a full-blown set. I had a full staff and a full production and things like that. And it was kind of uncomfortable. Somebody even DMs me and asked me, how has it been, going from a full-blown set to, through Zoom? And I look, because I work at networks, and, I work for a very popular brand and a credible brand. And they do all of their interviews through Zoom and through Skype and through FaceTime. And so it's like, I don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? If a full production company like that can do Zoom and FaceTime, who the fuck do you think you are? But what I will say is, like, I came from having a full-blown set, and it was dope. Of course I missed that. Of course I missed miss having a full-blown set. Like, I did everything. I'm a glam girl, so I'm like very particular on details, and like I'm a perfectionist kind of when it comes to Bianca B show. Like, I was a perfectionist. Like, I was very big on how the editing was, the set design. Like, I had a full-blown team, and we were all like very shout out to my old team. Like, shout out to everybody that has helped me throughout this journey of Bianca B show, because everybody was like a perfectionist. Like, we had 3 cameras, we had a jib, like we had all this stuff. And to go from that to in my room to Zooms and stuff like that, of course I fucking hate it. To go from that to this, like, of course I fucking hate it. However, internally, I'm doing this for me internally, because a part of me, I was unhappy for the past, I have to say 4 or 5 years. I was very unhappy, lost, confused about what I wanted to do. But I learned how to be a better producer. And I've learned how talk show formats worked. And I think that's what was missing from my previous show. So it's crazy how life works. Like, working on so many different talk shows and working in production, I learned how to produce better, how to write better, how to interview better, how to get straight to the point, right? And so this show is an internal fulfillment for me. And who I interview is an underdog. I've always interviewed people since I started Bianca B. I always interviewed people who were upcoming, and that was very important to me, whether that's in film, in business, in artistry. I always like to interview people who were underdogs and people who weren't seen. Like, even on red carpets, I would interview the people that people would not want to interview. And that is something I would teach the girls that I was training. I would tell them, my Be Original girls, I would say, interview everybody, because you don't know who's going to go to the top. Even when I look back at my interviews, I was just watching an interview with Soraya. Soraya was such a baby. Like, she had just was doing Empire and Finish, and to see her career and elevation and her being a beast in her field, that shit is dope to me. I like to interview people who are underdogs and who people don't look at. Like, and to see how far that they go and how far they, come and go. Like, I never was the person that I need to interview the top A-list celebrity. That was never my thing, ever. What was my thing was interviewing the underdogs and interviewing people who you didn't see. But even from a booking standpoint, I have fought for guests for talk shows. Like, I am a fighter. When I really feel like somebody is a freaking star, as a booker, I'm like, nah. Like, I would argue with EPs. Like, I'm a very stern business person and very direct. And when I feel like somebody is it, I just know it. That's why I love booking and being a booking producer. It fulfills me, because I love seeing somebody who is an underdog and getting them less than 5 years, they're booming. It was this girl, shout outs to her. She was on Craigslist, and she submitted to be on Mel Robbins' show. And she was like, I want to be an influencer, and my mom doesn't support my... This was just in 2019, y'all. And this girl has 1 million+ followers on all platforms. This was in 2019. And she is everywhere. And I have to fight for her to be on that show. I'm like, this girl is going to make it. I'm like, this girl is going to be an influencer. It was just something about her. And I'll insert her Instagram here. It was something about her that it's May. It was something about her that I was like, yo, this is dope. She's dope. Same with Blue from Bad Girls Club. Blue had already had a following, but for her to reach out to me and say she doesn't do interviews with people, and to see her and how her career has pivoted and her on a top production show, that shit is dope to me. I interviewed Woody McClain right before he did New Edition. Like, it was red carpet and he wasn't doing interviews. Like, nobody was noticing him. And to see now him being an underdog and fucking taking off, that is dope to me. And that's why I value what I do. And even as a host of this show, if you notice from my channel, I don't interview people that you may have known. But years later, when you go back and you look and you're like, yo, this person I had on my show. Jessie Malay, for example. Jessie was just starting out as an influencer. She had a couple of thousands of followers. But to see her now and how her career has skyrocketed in the influencer space, dope. Jessie Malay, people didn't know who she was at the time. She was like, a little popular, but her publicist was like, can you interview her? And I said, yes. I'm going to interview everybody. Same with Ray Sherman. I was supposed to interview Ray Sherman. I had reached out to Mike Will Made It, and I really wanted to interview Mike because this was during the time when Mike was popping beat after beat after beat after beat, and he was like, nah, I got this group, Ray Sherman. And we didn't do the interview, but I kid you not, 2 months later, they were everywhere, and there was no stopping them. So I say this to say, this show has been a fulfilling internally for me. And even from a booking standpoint, when I book guests on shows and talk shows, and having the privilege and the honor to work with all these different people throughout my career, this past decade, has been incredible. To see people's journeys and how successful that they get. And I say this to say, this podcast and what I do is not for popularity. I don't give a fuck about being popular. If you know me in real life, I am a homebody. I am very reserved. If you meet me in person, most people think I'm bougie and to myself and shy, and it is very true. But I do love the craft of sitting down with somebody and talking about their story. That has always been dope to me, and I will forever fulfill that. And needless to say, when I had Keandra Jackson on last week, that interview was incredible to me. And I think it would have been even better if we were in person. And so I know a lot of people want to, be popular online. Of course, the relationship shit goes viral. But me, I don't have enough personality to go viral. That's not me. What's important to me and why I loved, of course, we all love Oprah, of course. But what I loved about Oprah is that Oprah always had people on her show that were like underdogs and like people authors you wouldn't know about, that you're just finding out years later. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that is why I love what I do. Even as a booking producer, people are like, people at work were asking me like, what's your dream position? I'm like, I am genuinely doing what I love. I love being a booking producer. I love putting people on TV and seeing them flourish and seeing them take off. That is dope to me. And that is why I do this. I'm going to always continuously interview everybody. That makes sense with my brand. There's been people I declined that just from a business standpoint just didn't fit. But I love interviewing underdogs. I love that shit. Sorry, y'all, I'm cussing. But I love it. And you know what? Shout outs to my best friend, Chris, because me and him, we had a conversation this morning. And yes, me and Chris, people asked about Chris all the time because me and Chris were together he was like in all my vlogs when I first really started doing vlogs on YouTube. And we were talking this morning, and he was like, you need to make a he was like, how do you feel about your podcast now? And I was like, He was like, you always interview the underdogs. Like, I love it. And I was like, yeah, it fulfills me internally. Like, I'm not doing this for y'all. I'm doing this for me. It's a healing journey. It's a healing journey, like, no cap. It fulfills me internally. It's like working your 9 to 5, right? And you're a painter. And you're somebody who is creative. And you go home and you paint. That's how I feel when I do this. Like, that's how I feel. Like, this is my baby. I've done this for so many years, and it fulfills me internally. But anyway, shout out to my best friend for telling me to do this topic today, because I was kind of confused of what I wanted to talk about today. But shout out to my best friend Chris. I love you so much. And so we're gonna end the podcast here, which I fucking hate that word. Y'all know I fucking hate that word. But we're gonna end the show here. It's your girl Bianca B. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at @SBiancaB. At Bianca B Show. I love you guys so much. And, you know, if we get 25 views or we get 2,000 views, I really don't care. I am doing this internally for me. If you know me in real life, you know I'm not a numbers person. That's never been my thing. But I do love doing what I love to do. It is fulfilling for me. I'm not even going to hold you. But make sure y'all follow me. It's your girl Bianca. I keep hitting this. It's your girl Bianca B. Bye, guys.